Hey everybody, welcome to Somewhere in October. If it's not clear to you, I just watched They Live by John Carpenter. John Carpenter? I can't say that very well. This is not staying on the whole time, but you get the vibe. So this is going to be full of spoilers. If you haven't watched it, go watch it and come back. I have 3 pages of notes. We need to talk about this movie. I was watching the Vince McMahon thing on Netflix, and then this was my watch list for that night. And I turned it on not knowing that this was going to be a whole wrestler kind of evening for me. But yeah, Canadian wrestler. His Canadian definitely comes out a bit through the movie. You can definitely hear it.
Listen to what I'm saying to you.
I had a lot of fun with this one. We're going to go over all the discussion points I want to give. At the end, we'll go over a little review, like my star rating. And I'll also react to some opinions that I saw. Now that I'm filming this the next day, I may change my star rating because I'm gonna watch it again tonight. I can't stop thinking about it. It was fun. At the end of the day, no matter what I say about this, it was fun. So the main guy, John, I kept writing that I was just as confused as he was up to 31 minutes of the movie. That is way too slow of a burn. He didn't even put on the glasses until after the 30-minute mark. That is too long. I do like how they set it up. I do think they needed to put in all those details and set the scene and set kind of his character up, even though the way he jumps from being a hard down guy looking for his work to the Terminator, I don't really get why we needed the character building because it doesn't really make sense anyway. It took way too long. I think we really should have condensed that so we could have had more action, because the scene where he starts going crazy, that could have been longer. I could have watched that all day long. The full movie, I could have watched that. So I was a little bit confused on who was going to be the bad guy because we had this cult or people going into the church and they were hiding something. So I was like, are they hiding their secret identity or are the cops bad because the cops raided them? But it's pretty set on the tone that people are benefiting off other people's suffering. So you kind of understood the cops are going to be the bad guys. It was giving Big Brother 1984. We saw a lot of power imbalances and control and the TV with a message and people getting headaches. It was pretty clear that this was going to be a sci-fi mind control, manipulation, power imbalance type of movie. I wrote, it's a seriously unserious movie. Basically, the whole acting and plot and action is unserious, but the meaning and discussion that can come from this movie is super serious. Kind of dangling on conspiracy theory, but if you are being sensible about it, we can actually have a cool conversation. So when he first put on the glasses, I obviously love that, especially the black and white contrast. It would change and it was very clear when the glasses were on. Using advertising to get that point across was so powerful. We are very attuned to that nowadays. We can kind of see the manipulation that goes behind marketing. So it was kind of cool to have that set the tone. And then, the obey, they live, we sleep. It was just very interesting. It was really setting a what the hell is going on here. I will say, I kind of wish the glasses gave a more retro pop colors as opposed to black and white, just because at the end, when they show everybody in the color, I just kind of like that saturation difference. And because it was in the 80s, it had the potential to be this kind of retro moment. So at 32 minutes, I wrote glasses on, now things are getting cool. Things got cool pretty quick, and they moved pretty fast once the glasses were on. But I did feel like it was waves. It was a really slow build up. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Slow again, a little bit confusing, then fast again. So I do think the pacing could have been a little bit better. The face reveal for the creatures or aliens that we now know, I literally wrote, what the F was that? That was so sketchy, but I loved it. I think it's so cool that when you put the glasses on, you can see it. I will say it was hilarious when he's in the supermarket, basically being like, you are the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
You know, you look like your head fell in the cheese dip back in 1957.
But it started to show, especially in the supermarket, because you were seeing the people who were in the expensive aisles or who had on the pearls and the fur coats. They were the ones that looked like the aliens. So you started to see that these successful people, the people on top, were the enemy. About 40 minutes in, the wrestler comes out. This is when he starts kicking the cop's ass. And I'm like, okay, this is why Roddy Piper, I believe his name is, this is why he's casted in this. Although some parts the acting was a little bit off, I do think some of it is a script because everybody seems a little bit off. Him being a badass in this movie was both hilarious and convincing. This is the best quote I have ever heard in my life.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
I'm going to literally print that out and put that somewhere. That's in my brain forever. And this is where we see that they can teleport or they can disappear. So I was like, oh, this takes it to a new level. Like they're speaking through their watches, they're doing things. So you start to understand that they are a very different level. It's not just level of success and power, it is literal level of being. So this is where you're starting to see that it's not like a ghost or a monster, it's an alien or some kind of super force. And this is where we start to see the main character spare humans, and this is going to really tie back into when Frank comes in, which we're getting to. Holly, I believe her name is, when he gets in her car and gets her to drive to her house. I wrote down Riz King, he just starts flirting. It is interesting, he has a wedding band on, I believe, in one of those scenes. I don't know if he left it on or if that was part of his character, because it was never really spoke about, and he was out there by himself looking for a job, living nowhere, so I wasn't sure what that was about. It was never addressed. When Holly hit him with the wine bottle and he fell out of the window, it was so dramatic and out of nowhere. I was like, okay, here we go again. But then it did slow down. You know, it felt like that was going to be a big action scene and it slowed down. This is when Frank comes into the picture. So Frank has been there from the beginning. You can tell he just wants to get paid and support his family. He does not want to get into any funny business. He's adamant about that because the people pleaser in me would have gave in and just tried on the glasses to shut someone up. This man almost fought to the death for the longest fight scene I have ever watched in my life. If you are someone who likes wrestling, if you're somebody who likes that kind of action, you're going to love this. I'm somebody who doesn't really like fighting. It kind of like makes me, I don't really love it. But I also think because they were friendly, it was so fun to watch. And even though I was like, when is this going to end? Because I literally wrote that down. I also wrote down, I kind of love this. I kind of wanted to keep going, so it was kind of cool. And then we get another powerful one-liner.
Brother, life's a bitch. She's back in heat.
I was just laughing. I kept writing that this movie will grow on me because I really do think it's going to keep growing on me. I already want to watch it again. They look beat up for real. Like when they are in the hotel and they're looking at each other and they're swollen, it looks so real how beat up they are. But now I'm like, okay, we're at the last 30 minutes. This concept of mind control and power and aliens taking over and being successful and pushing down the smaller people and taking out the listeners or the seers, I should say, people who can see them. 30 minutes to resolve that. I was like, there's no way. There's no way this is getting resolved. We do get some of his backstory because then we get this one-liner.
It's gonna be hell to pay. Because I ain't daddy's little boy no more.
Anyway, then they meet the guy that they met at the, I guess, homeless camp or community shelter. I don't know what to call it. That was in the church. So he's now their friend. He's on their team. And he invites them to their little secret meeting. And they get contacts, which I think is so cool. I love the contacts. I kind of wish when they put the contacts in, that's when they can see everybody in color. I think that could have been a level up on the visuals because the movie poster is so cool. But the movie poster uses that color, and I really kind of wish we got that, at least at this stage. So this is also when we learn that it's not just the alien species or the more powerful species that are taking over. People are basically selling their soul and selling out each other to partner with them. What they get back is fame, success, money. They get all this back for letting them run the show. This is where we start to see that Frank especially, but then of course John, is very firm in how could you betray your own kind? And how can you betray other humans? It's kind of like humanity into it now. And this is a thing that keeps happening because they do spare the humans, even though the friend that takes him on the tour of the underground, Frank is pretty ready to shoot him, but they do spare humans a lot in this, and that's what you start to notice. That does change. Just wait. Then Holly shows back up. So he had left the glasses at Holly's because when he fell out of the window, he didn't have his glasses. And it ended with her looking at those glasses. So I was wondering if she was going to try them on. I didn't actually realize she was going to be a big part in this, but it makes sense because she works with the radio networks or the TV networks. So they need her. When they're all underground and doing their little secret meeting to rebel, basically, they're the rebels, she shows up. You're like, okay, she put on the glasses, she's here. I'm wondering what's going to happen, what they're going to talk about. Oh, no. Explosion. Huge out of nowhere explosion. Totally caught me off guard. But I like how it kind of shows they are such a smaller party in this that they are overpowered. It just really shows the power imbalance. And having like the town, the city, the politicians, the cops on the side, who stands a chance? It really makes you think what the hell is going to happen. in this next like 20 minutes. During this explosion, they're trying to escape from the raiders or the cops, whatever you want to call them. And Frank is playing with the watch and he opens up a portal and they jump in. So when they're down there, I was kind of wondering why no one's suspecting them. They do not look the part, but I guess because no one thought they could get in without access. So everyone's like inviting them, like, you're new, let me give you a tour. A guy from the camp gives them a tour. I will say, if you've played Fallout, it's giving Synths. It's exactly what it's giving. And I love that they said there's bilingual instructions, and then the language was clearly not a language on Earth. It was their language. And they said by 2025 there would be a total takeover. When I went on the Reddit thread to get the reactions, which we'll talk about soon, someone was like, oh, it's almost 2025. And I'm like, oh no. And they show this spaceship scene where it's basically like a boarding gate on an airplane, but they go to space. The visuals are so unserious. But the subject matter is actually pretty deep, which I kind of love. The people who sell out, they say it's just business. And you start to see where the humanity comes in. What's more important to you? Community or success? And that's basically what this boils down to. But then, we have the biggest plot twist that I was not ready for. So Frank, Holly, and John are running up to get the satellite and remove the signal. They're running up the stairs. John has to shoot people, so he goes up. Holly, out of nowhere, boom, Frank, gone. Was not expecting that. Then we get up and Holly puts the gun to him and was like, you're not getting away with this. And I'm already screaming at the TV like, just risk your life. This is for humanity. Who cares if she shoots you? You can shoot that first. He does actually do that, so it's fine. But he does shoot her first. He gets rid of her pretty quick. And then he shoots the satellite. And the best part is he said, fuck it, and then gave a middle finger. What I loved most about this ending was it was not what I was expecting. You would think that people would start screaming or disappearing or panicking, but what happened was the mind control aspect went out. So now people can see them. So it seems like the frequency they were using, what they were using, was to stay hidden and was to keep people conforming. So when they lose that, they could actually be taken out because people see them. It was hilarious showing the guy in the bar. You can actually see him for his true face. You didn't need the glasses. It was hilarious. I am in love with that ending. That is the perfect ending. 30 minutes ago, I was like, how the hell are they going to reach a conclusion? I can't imagine a better one. I think that was perfect. They had a plot twist. They had drama. They still had Roddy Piper being a badass. And then they had this crazy camp, funny ending. Loved it. So I gave it a 3.5 stars because it's a great movie. I'll watch it again. I'll recommend it. I just don't think it is like a masterpiece. But now that I'm reviewing it and I'm going to watch it again, I'm like, I don't know. I kind of really, really liked it. So I'll watch it again, see if that updates. But we're going to react to a couple reactions. These are from a Reddit thread. I'll have that link below so you can go see or discuss yourself. If you don't agree with anybody, you do not get to send hate. This is not permission. Just have your opinion. It's subjective, okay? My favorite movie is not going to be your favorite movie. And I am sure your favorite movie is probably not going to be mine because I'm a wimp is what I mean. This commenter says, you have a horror and satire story of Lovecraftian proportions and emphasized by the masculine bromance between Roddy Piper and Keith David. It's a beautiful film, one I wish would get support for a sequel or even a remaster. R.I.P. Roddy. This is one of those films that deserves franchise treatment. I am so mixed feeling about remakes and reboots because it can tarnish a legacy. It can make people doubt the original's any good and even watch it. It doesn't always push people to the original, but the potential there for the story. But I think they would have to keep it camp. I don't think they can make it serious. I think they can make the visuals super cool, but I think they need to keep those elements of like satire. One of the best Carpenter flicks. Yes, it's a bit cheesy, but it wouldn't be the same if it didn't have a little cheese. I also like the anti-conformity message. 100% agree. If it was not as cheesy as it was, it would not be as good. It is really perfect in what it's trying to do, which makes me rethink my rating. I might have to re-rate it, guys. I don't know. I can't really forgive the slow burn in the first 30 minutes. I think that's the biggest factor of why it's not a 4-star or higher. But the anti-conformity message, I totally agree. I'm not going to get super deep on this channel, but I totally agree with pushing back, choosing humanity, pushing against capitalism, manipulative marketing. I'm totally all for pushing against that. I stay away from the conspiracy theorists that go a little bit too far because a lot of weird conspiracies can come from this. But I do agree with the anti-conformity. This Redditor says, I'm just surprised this movie says what it does without being preachy. My favorite aspect is how they really made the world feel hostile. hostile? Sorry, hostile. Like the moment he puts the glasses on, you can see how the world is just made against us working class citizens. That is so true. It's cool that it was like reality, reading between the lines, the truth. I love that. I love that. I thought that was so cool and so simple. That's the thing. It isn't preachy. It isn't super dramatic. It is so simple and so effective. And I think there is something to respect about that because that's difficult. Because anybody can learn something and understand something, but to portray it in a way that is simple enough for other people to understand or get instantly, especially artistically and visually, that's hard. This Redditor says, absolute classic, ahead of its time, love the dark comedy and social commentary. Would like to see a solid remake, although it would probably take Carpenter himself to do it justice. Modern version could have John Cena, Dave Bautista, or The Rock as a nod to Piper. Absolutely not. I agree with everything. Maybe remaking, remastering. I don't want to see John Cena, The Rock, or Bautista, even though Bautista would be my choice. I don't want to see them in this movie. I think that will taint it too much. This is going to relate to movie opinions I have coming out, but some actors or presence are too strong to get into character. They don't immerse you into the movie. They can take you out of it. So I think if you're going to nod to Piper, you need to pick someone who's kick-ass, but can be seen as a character. We're going to end with this one. Fight scene could have been a little bit longer. Yeah, you're totally right. It wasn't long enough. Like and subscribe. See you in the next one.